Hey guys, it's Jet888 here. It's August 18th. It's 10 days after the whole Maui attack happened. And at the same time, I was actually showing here airplanes or helicopters circling overhead my home as well. And this is a video I made on August 8th, the same day. And this is the U.S. Army that was doing the circling overhead, and I was just reporting on that. And what I came to find out about, that I talked about, was this was a red flag. This is a red flag 23-3, where the Space Force and Air Force and Marines and Army were all coming together to work together. And this is part of the video that I showed. And just up top to the left, around 11 o'clock, there is the Coronado Navy base. So it's a Coronado Navy base right here. And at the same place right here is also located what it said to be a Lockheed Martin Corporation. But when I went there at the same address, it was actually Navy SEAL Foundation. That's their door. And Coronado, by the way, if you want to look at the anagram, is do Corona. And if you play on the word do, it could be like DEW, do, directed energy weapons. So I just thought that was sort of interesting. And do you know the day after those Maui fires? This is the little picture that I got on my computer. I always get something on my computer. Like this is part of my, where is it? Like it says type here to search for my computer, where you'd say like this PC or something. They always give little pictures just like this on my computer. But on August 9th, the day after Maui got attacked, and the day after they were doing the red flag military exercises overhead here, they have this World Elephant Day climate change. Isn't that interesting? So when I look specifically in my area, this is San Diego. This is the west coast of California. There's La Jolla. Right down here is where the Lockheed Martin is. Right here is Coronado Naval Base. But when you pull out here, there's a Lockheed Martin Corporation here. There's a Lockheed Martin Corporation here. And these guys, the RMS, they specifically deal with fire control. And over here, a little to the east, there's Lockheed Martin Corporation here. Here's La Mesa, Spring Valley. If you go down here, now this is where all the circling is gone. If anyone's been watching my videos, there's a lot of activity going around in my area. And to the south here, we're almost at Mexico is right down here. This is Tijuana. We're still here in San Diego, but this is another Lockheed Martin. Here is the Silver Strand. And right here, I'll show you, this is the amphibious base right here. It's part of the Navy system. But also here, there's another Lockheed Martin right here. So when I look at all the flights that have been going on, and I'm just noticing all these Lockheed Martin corporations literally surrounding the middle of this area. And by the way, Bonita here, which is also in the middle of all this mayhem in the air, Bonita, when you look at the anagram, it's obtain, just like they're going to do in Maui. They're trying to take all their land right now. Now, one of the companies that I've seen flying in live overhead and around the Chula Vista area is Coastal Defense. And if any of you have been with me for a while, you've heard me actually call this company, and they did admit, the secretary, whoever she was, answered the phone, Shirley, I think was her name. She admitted that yes, they're being contracted by the government, but they can't tell us what they're going to do. And this is Coastal Defenses. This is the guys. I went to his page on Facebook, and he has this. It's Special Operations Weather is what he has. But they're literally hired by the government to make these flights over Chula Vista, the Paradise area, and Bonita, but they won't tell us what they're doing. So this is on his website, our Facebook page. And I have a video of this months and actually maybe a year ago now. In fact, it was almost exactly a year ago, yesterday, and many other days that they were making these flights. So it kind of brought my attention to them. So this is just one example. This was on 7/24/23 of this year. So San Diego, that's your Paradise. That's our Paradise Hills. That's just a little north of me, just literally just across the freeway. And again, it's called Paradise. So that's kind of interesting. And these are the circles that they make. But not, let me show you the military people. Yeah, so here's the U.S. Army. August 8th, so the same day that they were flying over our head doing these operations, these red flag operations, Maui was pretty much being attacked, and I'm tired of people calling them wildfires. So just real quickly, this here's Lockheed Martin, one of the corporations in, where is it, Bethesda, Maryland. Look, the address is 6801 Rockledge Drive, off of the 270. It was kind of funny because when I was looking at the map, I noticed this 7 locks over here, and I'm thinking of Lockheed and 7 locks, and the 7 locks just almost remind me of Goldilocks. And I looked at the word Goldilocks, and it reminded me of the porridge. This is from the excerpt from a book. One day after they made the porridge for their breakfast, and the word porridge, when you look at the anagram, is regrid op, and it's kind of what I think and feel like they're doing in Maui, and that they've done other places. Regrid op, they're basically destroying it and going to rebuild it the way they want. And when I looked at the anagram for 7 Locks Road, the 7 Locks Road is crooked snavels, and a snavel is a pickpocket or to steal. So that's pretty much what they're doing to Maui. And of course, you always notice how they have the 3 bears, 3 pigs. They always go into the 3. But anyhow, this is the little Goldilocks story. And I looked at the anagram for Goldilocks and the 3 bears. And the anagram for Goldilocks and the 3 bears is Lockheed's board, Hitler's agents. And what's interesting about that is because when I looked at the map at Coronado, and that's where I found one of the Lockheed buildings. Here is their investors, Lockheed Martin, a document for their investors, their stock stakeholders. It says, we manage and have managed various U.S. government-owned facilities on behalf of the U.S. government. And they have these facilities, and they even say down here, they say that they might be under some, because they've done something non-compliant or something, they might be under some environmental laws, including criminal provisions. A conviction under environmental law could affect their ability to be awarded future contracts by the government. So this is on their own page. So they're basically telling their stakeholders that they're kind of in hot water right now. I'll leave this link to you, but it says, we have incurred and will continue to incur liabilities under various federal, state, local, and foreign statutes for environmental protection and remediation. The extent of our financial exposure cannot in all cases be reasonably estimated at this time. Anyhow, they've got cases going on against them for environmental violations. This is what they specifically says. It says, our business may be adversely affected by the outcome of legal proceedings and other contingencies that cannot be predicted with certainty as required by U.S. GAAP. We estimate loss contingencies and establish reserves based on our assessment of contingencies where liability is deemed probable and reasonably estimable in light of the facts and circumstances known to us at a particular point in time. Here are just some of their board or their executive officers, their board of directors here. Here, James Takelet, whatever, Sad Climate Jet, that's his little anagram. This guy, did I do his anagram? Yeah, liar on fake DNA. This is just a subjective opinion, of course. TV Rabbit Druid. Oh yeah, to the stakeholders, this is on item number 3. We're subject to federal, state, local, and foreign requirements for the protection of the environment, including those for discharge of hazardous materials and remediation of contaminated sites. So you can read the rest of that. There's a news article here. It's CBS Mornings, and it was August 14th, 2023, about the Hawaiian thing. It says their title was Scenes of Devastation. And they showed this newswoman, and in the background was this bus, this truck. Do you see the numbers? 808-661-2700. Remember, Lockheed Martin was off of the 270 highway. Okay, so I just want to show you this number. When I went to look it up, it's La'ena Surf Shack, like La, and then AI Na Surf Shack, and it happens to be on 117 Prison Street. So this is an aerial of that banyan tree. Remember the banyan tree that was given, I think, by the let me see, Filipinos, I think, the Philippines. I'm sorry, it was given by India. The banyan tree in Maui was a gift from missionaries in India. This tree is very significant to them symbolically. Here's another view, but they said that efforts are underway to try to get this tree will come back because its roots weren't killed. But on looking at this street, when you just come this way and you take a left or right, whatever perspective here, this street is called Prison Street. It's Prison Street. So the same street that company in the background is on, that where that number, they showed that number during that newscast, Prison Street, right there. And they were talking about the scenes of devastation. Well, here also in their article, they talk about more than 27,000 structures have been destroyed. There's your Lockheed with your 270. 270 happens to be Hail Satan also. IT has anal also, if you want to look at the anagram, but Hail Satan. And when I looked at the anagram of the title, Scenes of Devastation, one of the anagrams is Codes on Festive Satan. The other anagram I found was Satan Festoon Devices, and I'll show you why I think that that's interesting. Because what you see on the UN logo, they basically call that a festoon. The wheat sides there. See my little cursor, but just the outer wheat is considered a festoon. And this is the UN's own site, their own words here. This is the address there, un.org, about US UN emblem and flag. And it states a festoon, from French feston, I guess, Italian festoon. Originally a festal garland, Latin feast. Feast, as in coronavirus, like carnivorous. Anyhow, the feast, all these words like stakeholders and stuff, but it's a wreath or garland hanging from 2 points. Here in Wikipedia, they just show. That's one example. Here's the UN. Another anagram for scenes of devastation. It's COO, or COO, invest, feed Satan. Here's where feed Satan. Here's a COO is a chief operating officer, a senior executive tasked with overseeing the day-to-day administrative and operational functions of a business. So one more anagram. So set of Satan's oven dice, almost like paradise, and set like Setiens maybe, I don't know, or gates like stage. So set of Satan's oven dice, like the stage was set. And I'm looking at Lockheed because there's lots of reasons why. Because they do have an office right here in Honolulu, which is just 86 miles from Lahaina in Maui. They also brag about their ability to do weapons. This is actually on their page. This was on their page. This is a picture I captured a year or two ago. And that car looks really familiar, doesn't it? Looks like Paradise, Maui, and people consider Hawaii and Maui paradise. This is from their page, Speed of Light Protection, Harnessing the Power of Lasers. This is on their pages. Lockheed Martin has a broad range of expertise and experience with advanced beam control, fiber-based spectral beam combining specialized sensors and system integration, including a company-sponsored 30 kW Aladdin Athena system supplemented by current programs such as the RELI HEL MD program for the U.S. Army. There's one more thing that, well, there's a lot of things. So there's the fire on the west coast of Lanai, or I'm sorry, how do you say that? Lahaina. And then here, and do you see where it says the Haleakala Observatory? And right next to it is actually, here's just a map, it's Air Force, Maui Optical and Supercomputing. So when I looked closer at this observatory, the Haleakala Observatory, and here it is. It's a University of Hawaii Institute for Astronomy. I looked at the anagram for Institute of Astronomy. It's IT Fortunate Monstrosity. Here, there's something going on outside. Hang on a second. Yeah, we got a helicopter up here. Public safety. So look at our scalar skies right now. Look at that. Looks like they're dropping chaff just like they did in Hawaii. I'm interrupting what I was going to say, but look at this. Here are all the active flights right now. Talk about festoon. Do you see that? Here are those people right now who are flying around. And you know, if they want to talk about safety, why are they going over the whole area? Look at that. Whoa, sorry about this. But you see what I'm saying? This is live. So it's 8/18/701. And isn't that interesting how they're just restarted their whole graph, because they were all over to the south here and they just cut their feed. So where am I? That's interesting. But anyhow, okay, so, and there's Coronado right there. The Dew Corona. Okay, so back what I was saying about the observatory here in Maui. They were the first telescope. It was called Pan-STARRS 1. So let me tell you and they were actually, these people were the first people who did an energy weapon, or I think it was the first people who did the Dew weapon. And when I looked at the anagram, Pan-STARRS 1, but I actually spelled out the 1, O-N-E, so it could be consistent with numbers and letters. So I just used all looking at letters. Pan-STARRS 1 happens to be a trans person. Isn't that funny? So here's just one of the maps for the fires. You've probably seen it. It seems to change a little bit, but down south, that's where they were saying that it's so dry, but none of that part of Maui caught on fire. And that's where Bezos lives, right there. So Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Ellison, Peter Thiel, who is also the co-founder of PayPal. He also loves monopolies, and he also has a company called Ambrosia that sells its blood plasma to older people. It takes blood plasma for young people and gives it to older people so they can be young. And Jeff Bezos happens to have a private space flight, where my space flight company called Blue Origin. And what's ironic, in 2021, let's see, he'd been living there for a while, but in Maui, but it says Bezos later donated to Maui Farm as well as the Hawaii Land Trust, which helps preserve native historic sites, which is the exact site that just got nailed. Oh, and I didn't really finish talking about that banyan tree and why I brought that up, because when I looked here at that word, the prison street is here. You take a right here, and right here, this property, I noticed, it's the only one that was standing that didn't have devastation to it here and across the street. So I looked up these people, let's see, that wasn't the address. I think it's, yeah, Wayne Street. So this is the address to that street. This is what it looked like in 2019. It still looks intact. And I probably shouldn't just give out his name, but this resident, he works as a protective service occupation. That's what he does for a living, protective service occupation. Another thing I want to talk about, this red flag 23-3 United U.S. Armed Forces. And this was published, this little article about what they were doing with their red flag was published on August 8th. That's the day that I actually called Coronado and asked them what they're doing. So they were still presently doing their operations, but yet here in this article it says that they were going from July 17th to August 4th. But that's not true, because they were still doing it on the 8th, and I have documented proof of that. You guys saw that my my video that came out on the 8th. So besides my anagram of United U.S. Armed Forces being Maui UN's enforced grist, the grist, a grist is a grain that is ground to make flour. Grain that is ground. Let's see, useful material, especially to back up an argument. But they have this conference on grist. I didn't really mean to get into this right now, but I just want to show you this image of this grist. And now this conference, 2023, it's coming up. It's being held in at Harvard, or Harvard's involved with it. But grist, look at that. There's the Statue of Liberty. And that almost looks like the Tower of Babel right there. Maybe it's not, maybe I'm wrong, but there's your time and clock. And here's some satanic, looks like some Hydra something. It's really disturbing though, it's disgusting. But this is what I'll give you the link to this. It's gristconference.wordpress.com, grist 2023. What's interesting about that? In Kansas, in the city of Wamego, where they have the Oz Museum and all that, they have these grists from Belgium, the Deutschland. And the United U.S. Armed Forces anagram, Maui, UN's enforced grist. And a grist, the definition, something turned to advantage or use. To one's mill, something employed for profit or advantage. And that red flag, the 23-3, I want to show you a little bit more about that. So I just am looking at the numbers. So red flag in gematria equals 53, and 5 plus 3 equals 8. The 23-3 equals, if you look at it, 2 plus 3 equals 5. And then you take that 5 plus 3, and that's 8. So there's your date, your 8/8. It's August 8th. There's one other thing that I've noticed. So I actually was on the streets at the Google Maps, and I was looking, and here's this restaurant right here, the one circled in red. It was untouched in the fire. And it's called Old Lahaina Luau. Again, here's your food, your feast, but there's the old luau. 1999, they talk about the feast at Lele, or whatever they talk about. Now that company moved, but apparently it's really popular. So here's some write-up about it. And here they give the location is located 1251 Front Street. And again, they call it the Old Lahaina Luau. There's another map. They're right across from Safeway. And these owners, they put out a little notice to, I guess, their followers. It says, "We want to express the deepest gratitude to the first responders and volunteers who have helped so many in our community, and to those who have been tragically affected by these devastating events. You are always in our thoughts, and we hope to be of service to you in some way." They write, "Though we do not have access to determine actual damage, it appears at this time that Old Luhane whatever is still standing and has minor damage." So they started a GoFundMe, and they talk about these people who opened in 1986, Robert and Michael. They don't really go into the last names, but they moved from 505 Front Street and they joined with 2 other people. So there's Michael Moore, Robert Aguiar, Kevin Butler, and Tim Moore formed the partnership in 1986. And now they're owned by the company Hoaloa, whatever, not, I don't know how to speak the Hawaiian pidgin stuff, or I don't speak the language really well, sorry. But here's the company, and here's the FCC. Look at this, the FCC. Well, here's the numbers to the contacts for this restaurant. But I found this really interesting. Here's that company that owns that. Here's the address. It goes over here. Sorry about my camera work, but it shows it. I'm trying to show you this. There's their sign. So 1287 Front Street. Here's their address. It says contact information is Ronald Taktakan. He's in Honolulu, Hawaii. And this says applicant is engaged as a restaurant. Radios will be used to coordinate activities. Here's Ron Katan, whatever, communications. He's commercial enterprise sales manager at Pacific Wireless Communications, LLC. So here's his Facebook page. There he is. And he states he is an entertainer at this old luau traditional thing, but he works for the communications, Pacific Wireless. And apparently he's up in San Francisco too. There's the mitt. It almost looks like a crown over his head. Here's a work biography for him, Pacific Wireless Communications. He works the state and local government markets at Pacific Wireless Communications, which is a cable and satellite company. I just find that kind of interesting. Pacific Wireless Communications, a premier wireless systems integrator in the state of Hawaii. Now here's a map of Honolulu. Lockheed Martin's by the airport.